My name is Dave Kiswiney. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I reside in Nashville, Tennessee, actually Franklin. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, and that's probably the reason for all the rock and roll in my life. You might know me or have seen me or heard of some of the things I did with Ted Nugent Band when I started with Ted in '79. And I'll get to how I got to that gig. But I was actually a drummer when I started playing music. And before that, I played piano. My mother made me take piano lessons at age 6, along with my sisters. And that worked up until marching band, slide trombone, all the way through high school. Well, I'm not going to say when I graduated. You can guess. But I got in a band in 1964, 2 years out of high school, so as a drummer. And when I wasn't really a good enough drummer to play with the guys that I played with, I learned how to play bass, and nobody wanted to play bass at that time. So I got a Japanese bass, a Taisco bass, which I still have one of those in my collection. I love it dearly. And went on to college and played in some bands in college. I went to Port Huron Junior College, 65 and 66, and then I got in a band that had a hit record in Detroit called the Capris. And I took the place of a great singer and bass player that was Canadian, had to go back to Canada, and the rest of the band was American. And that's how I got in the band. I could imitate his voice and do the songs, and we went on tour with Mrs. Miller and Arthur Conley and Tiny Tim. I'm showing my age here. And then one thing led to another, and I got in different bands around Detroit. Of course, Detroit was probably the greatest rock and roll city in America. And I got in some local bands, and one of the bands got a deal with Motown Records. Rare Earth was the band that actually broke the color barrier for Motown. They had the first all-white band, was Rare Earth. And we were the second. Our band was called My Friends, and we were kind of a pop band. Through the My Friends band, I got a gig in another band in Detroit, but that was managed by David Krebs and Steve Lieber out of New York. They managed Focus and Aerosmith, but Ted Nugent was one of them. And I met the manager, and I guess he sort of liked me. And make a long story short, the band I was in, we tried to get record deals, and nothing ever happened. I went through a divorce, and I moved to Maui. I put everything away, and I quit music. And I took a bass and an amp and a toolbox, and I moved to Maui and bought a car and a speaker cabinet, and moved into an apartment and started fixing guitars and tuning pianos, and because that's what I did. You know, when you're a musician, when you don't have any money, I stocked toys at Christmas at Sears. I reconed speakers. I did everything I could to make money, so I had that trade. And I did that on Maui. When I moved there in 1978, I was the 4th bass player on the whole island. And there wasn't any rock and roll. It was all jazz and big band stuff. So I got a fake book, and I played Green Dolphin Street and Little Brown Jug and all the things you do out of the fake book. And then I played in the big band with my tux shirt and my shorts and my sandals down here because it had they never saw it. And I did that until I got a call from David Krebs, who I met in 1976, asked me to play in the Nugent Band to go to Europe in 1979. So through the audition process and everything else, I got the gig, and I was just going to go for 4 weeks tour of duty because that wasn't what I was into. I was kind of a musical snob at that point, I was making good money. I was a 4th bass player on Maui. I was living on the beach, and I was a hippie. And I still am, I think, basically. I don't think you ever outgrow that. So I went to Europe with Ted, and I truly loved it. And by the 3rd week, they asked me to stay for the rest of the tour, and it was 1979, so it was big. We were playing the World Series of Rock and the Orange Bowls and everything in Europe, and you name it, it was huge. It was, the LA Coliseum and, Mile High Stadium, 60,000 people, and I was just in a world of was great. Had great people. What a great organization. Truly professional. Kept you on the straight and narrow, and he had a great work ethic.